Hello, my photo friends out there. Today I wanted to go over how to work my eye action. It is one of my favorites. So we're going to work on this little gal and her bright eyes. You just come over here to your action palette. I'm just going to click on the eye pop in action. It just kind of gives you a little thing, talks about how to use your brush. And this is what we'll pull up over here. The first thing you want to do is work on, notice that all of these panels are off. They're all of your masks are turned off. So in this action, nothing will happen if you just run it. It's going to give you the opportunity to decide where you want to put all these different things. My eye action does basically three things. It sharpens the eye. It allows you to control the contrast, the light and the dark. And it also gives you the option to increase the saturation of your eye. The most complicated thing about the eye action is this little button right here. For some reason, when the action runs, it wants to close up that file. But if you just open that file, you can see what's down in there. It's going to give you the option to do the contrast and intensify that color. We're going to put the contrast and the color in the same spot, so we can just control this whole folder with those two things in it at once by adjusting this mask. I'm just going to zoom in here, and this is just Command plus sign or Control plus sign on your PC. And I'm going to get my brush tool, which is my shortcut B. With my brackets, I'm going to make it just about the size, and I'm just going to want it to paint it right in here. And I'm going to do it at 100%. So I'm just painting, and you can see how it's sharpening, but not much else. And be really careful not to get it down here on the lids of the eyes, because you're going to intensify the color in just a minute, and you don't want to intensify the color of the lids. Otherwise, she'll look like she's got a little irritated eye. So once you've got it painted in, it's really not too much of a difference. It just sharpened them and added just a little bit of that contrast and that color. So you want to be able to adjust it to what you want and to each image. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to do the contrast, and I want to bring up the shadows just to taste, and I might bring up just a little bit of the highlights to really make those highlights pop. Bring up the shadows just a little bit with my curve tool. That's probably about right about there. I'm going to go back to my layers and now adjust my color. One thing that happens is when you increase the light in an eye, when you increase highlight and shadow in your eye, it'll dilute the color a little bit. So we want to make sure that we keep that really rich color. So I'm just going to bump up. You see it was already, bumped up a little bit, but I'm just going to bump it up into the 30s, just about right there. Let me zoom out and kind of get a better view. So I think that looks really nice. It's starting to look really nice. Now I want to use these little darken and lighten masks. The trick to a great poppin' eye is the contrast between the light and the dark. And I'm just going to hand paint in some of these dark, just increase the dark with my brush. I'm at 100% opacity, which is too much. I'm going to go down to 30 and just increase the already dark on her eyes, and maybe just outline her little lash line to increase that. And I'm gonna bump up to 40 because it's not doing too much on that lash line. And then maybe just like dot it in here, down in here. Make sure that pupil is nice and dark, because that's gonna give me my contrast. If you just lighten eyes, it doesn't do the same as if you increase the contrast, which is also increasing the darkness of the eye. And then I'm just going to like dot in right there. And then next I'm going to go to my lighten. And I'm going to lighten up the whites of her eyes. And just increase the natural highlight that's already there. And brighten all of this up. There we go. Now as I zoom out and I think, oh, that lighten is just a little bit too much. It's a little bit too crazy. I can just take this whole layer, bring in my opacity, and I can either increase it if I don't think it's enough, or I can decrease it if I think it's a little bit too much. I'm just going to bring it down to the 60s there. And let Let me show you the before and after. And you can also do that, with your contrast. If you feel like the contrast is a little bit too much, you got a little carried away, you can bring that contrast up or down. Same with the color. Sometimes when you're in there working so close on those little details, when you zoom out, they kind of look like crazy eyes. So that's a really great way to be able to control when you zoom out. If it's a little bit too much, you can easily just kind of tone it down. So that is the before and after on the eye pop. Isn't that beautiful? Just love that action. So enjoy. Thanks so much.